Yo, give me a second, guys. There's something I need to fix.
Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Crap. Anyway, it's one of them days. It's Friday, Furahi Day, Throwback Fridays, as I might call it. Anyway, today it's Throwback Fridays. I just want to examine something, a topic that nobody's talking about anymore. Remember when the great late General Ogolla passed on after having that accident in Elgeyo Marakwet, I believe, on the 18th of April earlier this month. Sorry, earlier. Was it this year or last year? Somewhere. I forgot. I don't know. Sorry. Excuse me. Yes, this year. Ruto promised us that a full report on the accident shall be released in 3 months. And so far, we haven't had anything. Nobody seems to be interested in asking questions about the situation surrounding General Ogola's death. So I will like to revisit, play some video clips about what happened leading up to his death, what might or who might be behind his death. Now, we haven't, like as I said, we haven't been told about anything regarding the helicopters. Were they, did they have problems? Do they have a history of having problems? Was there a mechanical, problem that led to that helicopter, crashing? Those are the questions that people should be asking. So we were hoping that this government would have a conclusive report on what happened on that fatal day. But so far, we haven't had anything from the government. So this leaves room for speculation. I will not try to delve into the mechanics and the science behind what happened on that fateful day. What I would like to highlight and reiterate or focus on is the political situation around General Ogolla. I think this gentleman was a very interesting man. From all accounts, it is said that General Ogolla was a very upright man who was very loyal, very committed to his work. And unfortunately, maybe he got involved with some people, his bosses at the time, may have been the reason why he's no longer here with us. Of course, his son, during his burial, told us that, there's nothing there, there's an accident, let's all move on. But nobody's buying into that. We are not moving on. We want to see what happens. So I want to explore the political element surrounding General Ogola's death. I personally believe, and this is my belief, my view, my opinion, that General Ogolla was eliminated. By who? We don't know. But we'll just try to explore. I'll play some videos here and later I'll chime in. I will start with an old video that I made. It was it's a 4-minute video, but I'll just highlight the parts that I think it's important. Hello, KK. I see you on the chat there. Thank you. Nice joining you. It highlights a tweet by Miguna. Unfortunately, at that time, I did not post it on the screen, but you'll hear the video. It's an old video, so it's kind of a year ago, something like that. I wasn't that much, But anyway, it was a video. It was a tweet. I was reading a tweet by Miguna, who advised at that time. Miguna was had a good relationship with the president at the time. Remember, that was after, Ruto came back and, brought him back, gave him the passport. So he came back after 5 years of being in exile, after being thrown out by President Uhuru Kenyatta. So he was kind of in a good relationship with the president, Nani Ruto, at the time. And Miguna advised, let me just give you the context. At that particular time, remember, this is when the Azimio folks were really up in the streets trying to have maandamano, and none other than Aden Duale went to Spice FM and told us that Remember, he was the interior minister or something like that. And he told us that he has ample evidence, without shadow of a doubt, that the Kenyatta family were behind the funding of the maandamano by the Azimio folks. Remember those? You can go check it up. He said that. So, anyways, so there was a maandamano happening, and so Mwiguna wrote on his tweet and advised the president through his tweet, telling Ruto, hey, listen, Obote was overthrown because he didn't took the necessary precautions to protect himself as far as the military. He should have made sure that his military were on point, or rather he would have some allies in the military sector. So he advised Ruto on that. And I'll play the video in a second. And a few days after that, Ruto announced that there'll be reshuffling of the cabinet as far as the military. And he did announce that Ogolla was going to take office on April 18th, which he did. So here's the clip. Then I'll walk you down the steps. These are old videos, so if you want to watch it, that's fine. I'm going to be mostly on the background. I'll come in later after all these videos. The first one is 4 minutes. 4 minutes long, and then later I'll talk about what's happening today. The second part of this session, it will deal with what's happening today. First of all, my condolences goes up to the young folks, the family members of those school that got banned. I think we lost 14 or 17 lives. So I hope they find peace and may, they find comfort through their relatives and anybody else who's willing to help the families who lost their kids in that school fire. Okay. And again, on the Twitter sphere, so far, the government bloggers, people who are pro-government, have really turned their guns on Jimmy Wanjigi and Uhuru Kenyatta. It's something that I've noticed today. They're highlighting how Jimmy Wanjigi has been involved in these deals, government deals. In fact, they're trying to tie him in with the Adani thing. We'll review that. But the first part I want to just deal with is General Ogolla, because I want to make this about General Ogolla, because it seems that this government promised us to give us a report about what happened to General Ogolla in that fateful day in Elgeyo Marakwet skies, where the helicopter kind of fell and he lost his life. So let me start with this tweet, with this first video. Again, this is by, hold on one minute. Wait. Hold on. Let me just give me 2 seconds here. Let me adjust my stuff here. I don't have my life together. Here is this video that I made. Then I'll play the second part of it, which is more lengthy, which we'll kind of see what happens. All right. Here it is. Miguna. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, there's a tweet that Miguna made on the 26th that I think forced the government's hand. Let's take a look at this tweet. Here's what the tweet reads. Apollo Milton Obote, Kwame Nkrumah, and Thomas Sankara were not overthrown because they hadn't been warned that coups were being planned. They were overthrown because they dithered, fiddled their hands, and waited for too long to act until it was too late. We must not stand by and watch as the fake brothers ferment and perpetrate a military coup against a government we campaign for through sweat and blood. This is our stand. And guess what? A few days, actually, literally, I think it was the next day, General Ogolla was promoted by President William Samoei Ruto. Did this tweet have a hand to play? I think so. I think so. Remember, Miguna, he has 2-point-something million followers. So everything he writes, people pay attention. And also, I think his argument here is Uhuru has had most of his guys, his handpicked generals, in the highest positions in the military. So I think he was advising President Ruto that it was prudent of him to appoint new folks in there, just to avoid any kind of possible coup d'etat. Because, it makes sense. Uhuru and Raila Odinga are agitating for change, they're basically trying to say Ruto is illegitimate. So, what other avenue might they look at to take him out of office? The military. In his second tweet, which was made today, I believe. Okay. So, the first one here, like I said, I made this video almost a year ago. It's actually a year or something. Right after when Miguna named, remember, the context is Mandamano was going on, it was catching fire. The Azimio folks were brought in, the likes of Maina Jenga, who's a very close ally. Very close. Hi, Goody, and I seeing you. Who's a very close ally to Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, this is the guy who does Uhuru's dirty work, okay? And remember, when Azimio folks started the Mandamano, it wasn't really catching any fire. Nobody really cared about them. Then they realized this, and all of a sudden you saw Raila Odinga meet up. Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, and Jenga Karume. It's not Jenga Karume. Maina Jenga, sorry. The former head of Mungiki met up. And the next time you saw, there was Mandamano in Central Province, which was unheard of. I mean, what was Central didn't care about this Mandamano. They were trying to move on. In fact, the whole country was trying to move on. It was only Azimio people who are protesting in, the Azimio hotspots. Kibera in Nairobi and maybe Kisumu and some parts in Nyanza province. Not all. But once Maina Jenga came in, and then they brought in Hassa Joho, he started catching fire. And remember that interview by Maina Jenga in Jeff Koinange, when he told Jeff Koinange that he received a phone call from Raila Odinga when Raila Odinga was in Mombasa meeting Suluhu and Ruto to, whatever. And Raila told him, hey, listen, hold up on the Mandamano. Hold up. To watch a Mandamano, we are talking. Okay? Which confirms that Raila Odinga reached out to Maina Jenga for this Ninio. Maina Jenga, again, if you go look at the ICC cases, the stove Ninio, Ocampo evidence, they were saying, basically Uhuru Kenyatta and Maina Jenga Uhuru Kenyatta was giving Maina Jenga money to facilitate, the atrocities that Mungiki were carrying out. So we know that Maina Jenga is the right-hand man, the errant boy for Uhuru Kenyatta when he wants to do something, some dirt, okay? That is well established, okay? Then again, so follow me with this. Here we have a case where Azimio was on the streets. They were being funded, allegedly, according to not Junet Mohammed, Aden Duale, who was the interior minister back then, and he said he had evidence that, the first family, the Uhuru Kenyatta family were funding this Azimio protest, okay? So then Miguna gives advice to the president, Ruto, at the time and told him, hey, listen, you have to look at Obote and others, how they were taken out. Uhuru Kenyatta has his friends, generals in the military, and they might be having some ideas. So get your life in order, get your house in order before you get taken out. And what happened? Just the next day or a few days after that tweet, remember I told you, at that time, Miguna and Ruto, they were pretty on good terms at that time, okay? So after that, Karibu Sana Francis Kimani. Nice seeing you, brother. So remember, after that tweet about, a possible, military coup d'etat, Ruto had to do a reshuffling. And guess who he picks? He picks General Ogolla, okay? Now, Ruto will explain why he chose General Ogolla in a clip. And this is where it kind of, it gets interesting, okay? He says there are some things they discussed that he cannot disclose, maybe because it will put some people in bad light. But let me see if I can find that video, actually. It's a really interesting video. It's a video by Ninio, by anyway, You'll see it. I'll play it later through my other throwback video. But basically, in that, and you guys probably have seen this when he was being interviewed by what's that Somali guy? I forgot his name. Sorry for saying Somali, but it's Somali, whatever. But basically, Ruto was saying that General Ogolla, when they sat down and talked, General Ogolla told him straight up and said, "Hey, listen, I was on the wrong. I was sent at the Bomas. Remember when there was this whole Bomas thing when Wakina Ole Ledama Lakina was punching people, punching whatever. Apparently, General Ogolla was sent at the Bomas place to make things happen. We don't know exactly what his responsibility was, but he was sent by somebody. Now, General Ogolla cannot be sent by just anybody because he is a military guy, okay? Raila does not have, at that point, 2022, Raila was not, did not have any public office. He could not tell General Ogolla, hey, listen, go up there and do A, B, and C. That's just impossible, okay? So there's only one person who can actually do that, okay? And maybe it was a joint decision by these two individuals who were Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, because Uhuru Kenyatta, up to that point, he was still the president. And the president is the what? Chief whatever forces. He heads, the president basically is the head of all the armed forces, chief of armed forces, okay? So he can order a general, any general of his liking, to do a certain job, okay? Like I said, I played a video yesterday, and I will play another video, an old school video by Martin Gatia, who explained how in 2017, Uhuru Kenyatta sent another general, okay? And he names the name of the general to go do what probably Ogolla was supposed to do, okay? So Ogolla was sent. Now the question is, who sent Ogolla? Okay? And like I said, there's no way. It may be true. Maybe Raila had a part on it because Raila was kind of like in a handshake with Uhuru up to that point, okay? They were really buddies at that time. And he was wielding some kind of power. But legally, a general, okay, an army officer in government, okay, in the military, takes orders from one person, okay, mkuu wa majeshi, who is the president, okay, the armed forces guy. That is the person who has the power to send someone to do something, okay? And like I said, I'll play you the clip if you follow me. I'll play your clip where Martin Gatias tells us how Uhuru Kenyatta sent a specific general to go to the Ninio, to go to the IBC center, whatever in Ninio, to get the results that he wanted because he was already knew he didn't have the votes, okay? So again, we see this pattern. So we can assume that Kenyatta was doing the same thing he had done before 5 years prior, okay, by sending Ogolla to the Ninio, to Chebukati, to tell Chebukati to do that thing, okay? But anyway, so whatever it was, we still don't know what's his Ogolla's responsibility or assignment in that Boma Center. We still don't know what exactly he was sent to do. But what we know is he was there. And there's a couple of people who, from both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, said publicly that General Ogolla was actually there, but he was wearing civilian clothing. But he was present, okay? So, Ruto, in that interview with, I think his name is Ayub, he said that they sat down with Ogolla, and Ogolla told him straight up, hey, this is what I was sent to do, and I apologize, so you can do whatever you want to do with me. And Ruto mentions that, he had all the power to arrest him, court-martial him, or whatever the case is, take him to jail, execute him, whatever, legally do that because he had crossed the line. Military are not supposed to meddle in civilian business, okay? But Ruto said he appreciated the fact that General Ogolla was upfront about it, confessed what he was supposed to do, which he didn't disclose, but he just said, I appreciate the fact that this guy came up and told me XYZ. This is what I was up there. I'm sorry. I'm at your mercy, basically. And Ruto turned around and said, you know what? I appreciate you being honest, telling me all this. And for that, I will choose you. And he said he chose Ogolla, against the advice of so many people in the military and outside the military. Okay, so he chose General Ogolla because Ogolla was upfront, very honest, said it like it is. And the majority of the people who work with Ogolla have always testified and said the same thing. He was very much liked within the military fraternity. Okay, they said he was a very, very disciplined, God-fearing, and he was alikuwa hana maringo. He was really ready to offer help, and he was very, open as far as truthful and honest. And so, according to Ruto, that's the reason why he chose Ogolla. And again, to remind you, this came a few days after what? After Miguna wrote that in public and advising Ruto to kind of switch it up at the military, because of course they were probably getting reports that, the Azimio folks, Uhuru Kenyatta, through his influence, his friends in the military, might be planning something. Something can happen. Okay, so it would be prudent of him to do so. Okay, so that's the context. So Ogolla becomes the next KDF, assumes office in April 18th of 2023, officially becomes the head of KDF, right? We're up to there, right? Now, not to give it much, I will go back to my old video because that's the whole purpose of this. I will apologize in advance because the voice of it was kind of messed up. I used to speak really close to the microphone that it made it so hard to Nino. But I will walk you through that in Neo. Then after that video, it's a lengthy video, it's probably an hour. So please sit down with the popcorn. If you're working, get your earbuds on, get it on. But before I go to that video, please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please, I want you to listen. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If it's your first time, we talk about Kenyan politics or politics. And like this video immediately. We want to get more people here so we can talk, exchange ideas and stuff, okay? So I'm gonna run this video. It's gonna be a long one. After I run this video, I will put the link. We'll talk about what's happening today with the school stuff, with the hit job that's happening right now that's aimed at Jimmy Wanjigi and the Kenyatta family, and other stuff that's happening. Raila in China, he looks sleepy. He basically looked like a zombie in China. We'll talk about all that, and I will open the forum for everybody. But for now, I'll just play this video. I'll be at the background. But this video will kind of walk you through the whole events, what's happening. Then I want you to think about, connect the dots. And this is the thing before I start playing this video. I want you to connect the dots. Is it a coincidence that Raila Odinga and Kenyatta did not attend Ogolla's funeral? Raila Odinga said something when he died. He gave a speech. I think it was once somewhere or whatever. But he never attended his funeral. Oburu had to go to his funeral. Raila Odinga never went to. In fact, the same day that Ogolla was being buried, Raila Odinga was in a Gor Mahia versus FC Mashimeji game in, I think it was City Stadium or whatever. Nyayo Stadium, whatever the case is. He was watching Gor Mahia. That's number one. Uhuru Kenyatta never even bothered to send any condolences to the Ogolla family. That's number two. Okay? So I understand there's rumors, there are people who are saying, you know what, maybe Ruto might have been behind the death of Ogolla, which could be a possibility. We never know. Maybe it was a setup. He brought him in so he can get rid of him. But why would he wait 1 year before he does that, okay? But it's also a legit It's a legit thought. If you think Ruto might be behind it, that's okay. To me, I just found it really, really interesting that of all the people, Uhuru was the chief whatever, mkubwa wa majeshi, was literally Ogolla's boss. Probably send him to that IBC station in KICC. Nani, Raila Odinga, the proverbial Luo kingpin. One of your sons, prominent sons, lost their lives. It's his burial. You choose to go to a Gor versus FC game on the same day that he is a very well-decorated general is being buried. Uhuru doesn't even mention. Those are the questions that you should ask yourselves. I'm not saying that they're behind it, but in my view, I think Ogolla meeting up with Ruto and confessing all that stuff, I think he crossed somebody. He crossed somebody powerful up there that he used to work for or had a discussion with, had an understanding with, had a whatever with, and it may have caused him his life. Let's go to the video. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's get started. Twingie. Pay a freaking attention. Let's get it. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me see what's going on. I'm about to get started. Here it is. While I find this video, it's an old school video. I made it about, oh crap. Let me find it. Where is it? All right, let's go. Let's go to that video right now. Please, again, subscribe, like, share. Hold up. All right, are you guys ready? Okay, pay attention. It's going to be lengthy, like I said. You can comment and interact while the video is playing. I will come back at the back end of the video and we'll discuss what we need to discuss for the day. All right, let's go. Here it is. How is everyone feeling? How's everyone doing? From the people in X who are following me in X, I hope you're doing well. People following me on my YouTube channel, I hope you're doing well. If you're just seeing this on the first time, please go ahead. Don't waste any time. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And we shall get to the topic, okay? Just give me a second. Let me get my stuff running here. So we, just give me 2 seconds. There you go. Boom. Got it figured out. All right. Sasabasi. All right. As we go. Today, let's examine something. The topic, as you can see, it's General Ogolla, a victim of political classes, power tussle. Was this man sacrificed by one of these members of the political class? I often argue that when these folks, the Railas, the Uhurus, the Rutos, if they start clashing, somebody has to pay the price. They might try to take them, each other out, which is something they try to avoid because it can lead to, the country can descend to civil war. Okay, so maybe they might just clip each other's power by taking out their minions. I know. You might be thinking, what are you talking about? I am about to break it down. But before I get to the main meal, which is General Ogolla, a victim of political class power tussle, let's just go through the historical context. Let me give you a historical context of what has been happening, okay? I see good there. Thank you very much. Say thank God, of course. Karibu sana, and everybody else that's watching on X. But anyway, I wanted to play something, okay? I often argue that Kenya has never really quite got independence from the British. Good, the first order of business, right? Like the video, please. And everybody who's watching, if you're watching me on X and you want to follow me, maybe you don't, I usually post on X, or you want to get my videos, watch much of my material, go to YouTube, subscribe, and you'll see all my videos there, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But let's get to something. There's a clip I want to show you by this somebody's channel. It's called Maconomy. Okay, it just highlights, it gives you a snippet of how Kenya transitioned from a colony to, you know, we gain some level of autonomy, but still very much under British rule. Let me play with that, start with that video. I know most of you guys want me, I know people might expect me to talk about what's going on with the Labor Day celebrations and all that. I won't delve into it, but I'll get to it. Because most of those speeches are just not, they're empty speeches. I mean, you saw Sakaja speaking about, I don't know what. So you praise Wamedunga, you purple, or whatever the case. Some nonsensical stuff that can really don't help the Wananchi. Murkomen is catching fire after visiting JKIA, and a few days after that, few hours after that, Madoho reports there's power outage in JKIA. So you can see how incompetent this administration is. We know that. I'm not going to bore you with that. I just want to talk about this Ogolla incident because I think it's deeper than people think it is. I shall start with the first video so we can get, I want to walk you through, okay? Let's dig through the barrels of history and see how far we've come and how far we are going and how this political class clash. And when they clash, somebody has to shed blood, okay? But anyway, let's get started. I'll start with the first video. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's a very, very good documentary by, again, some guy called Maconomy. The title of the video is Asset Laundering in the UK, Corruption, PEPs, Offshore Leaks, okay? This has to do with all the people who, hide money steal money from their countries and they stash it over in offshore accounts. Let me start with this because this relates to Kenya. So let's start with it, okay? Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades? Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Like the video while I do this. All right. Let me start with this. Okay. I'll walk you through Ogolla. Don't worry about it. We are getting to Ogolla. All right. So here's the first video that I want to share with you. Here it is. I hope it's audible. Okay. There you go.
The amount of money laundered every year is estimated at 2 to 5% of global GDP. 2% of global GDP is roughly equal to the combined GDP of Turkey, the Philippines, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Over $500 billion flows out of developing countries each year. Much of this money flows into Western economies via complex offshore structures. In 1952, the future Kenyan president Jomo Kenyatta is imprisoned by the British colonial authorities. He becomes a symbol of Kenya's struggle for independence.
Jomo Kenyatta is viewed as Kenya's father of independence, so to speak. He used to go by the name Johnston Kamau. He used to be a water meter reader in the colonial government's municipal council. He was also fairly well spoken. I believe that's part of the reason why he was selected from amongst the political intelligentsia at the time.
Upon his release from detention, the near-penniless Kenyatta becomes a close friend of the last British governor of Kenya, Malcolm MacDonald. In 1963, Kenyatta is elected as the first prime minister and later.
This is
why I stopped
Sorry
shopping
about
on
that. It is.
Amazon.
It's
You should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until
sorry about that. That was
President of Kenya, while Malcolm MacDonald becomes the British High Commissioner. The government and civil service of the new country is comprised primarily of what the British called loyalists. Post-independence, Britain retains a number of military sites in Kenya. Today, Britain trains 6 infantry battalions in Kenya every year. 60 years after independence, the Kenyatta family is one of the wealthiest in Kenya.
The Kenyatta family have vast investments in land across the country, right down to the coast, all the way up to the what was called the White Highlands. They own the biggest milk company in Kenya. They own one of Kenya's biggest banks. They have a chain of hotels. They're building a sub-city right now, just right outside the bounds of Nairobi City. There's always been an open question about how Jomo Kenyatta was able to become such a rich person. Just 1 or 2 years after becoming president, his salary at the time doesn't match the kind of wealth that he has. There have been memoirs written by people from his administration that say that he essentially would engage in land grabs of very, very prime pieces of land owned by members of the settler community, etc.
A declassified CIA report noted that funds provided by foreign governments in order to pay for the redistribution of land from colonial settlers to landless Kenyans had allegedly been used by the Kenyatas and their associates to buy land for themselves. Today, the Kenyatta family are the biggest landowners in Kenya, holding over 500,000 acres of prime land across the country, while many former Kenyan freedom fighters and their families who fought specifically for the return of their land received nothing. Jomo Kenyatta passed away in 1978. His son, Uhuru Kenyatta, followed his father into politics.
The country's president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was among the world's rich who were named this week in the Pandora Papers.
According to the Pandora Papers, Kenya's president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and 6 members of his family have been linked to 13 offshore companies.
And what was revealed is that the family had invested in offshore structures. If you're including the extended family, as early as the mid-70s. Uhuru Kenyatta was listed as a beneficiary of a trust that, so to speak, belonged to his mother upon her death.
Uhuru Kenyatta claimed to be an advocate of transparency, and cracking down on corruption was a central theme of his term in office.
This dragon, this beast called corruption, is an animal that we intend to slay.
President Uhuru Kenyatta welcomed the leakage of the Pandora Papers, saying the publication of the papers will go a very long way in enhancing the financial transparency and openness required in the country and around the globe.
In Kenya, 2/3 of the population live in poverty on less than $3.20 per day. 70% of Kenyan families are chronically vulnerable due to poor nutrition, food insecurity, and preventable diseases. Kenyan law requires the president to provide a list of financial interests to the Ministry of Finance each year.
What we own, what we have, is open to the public, and we declare every year. And I've always said, if there is an instance where somebody can say that what we have done or obtained has not been legitimate, say so. We are ready to face any court.
He said that he's made his wealth declarations, but we've never seen them. Secondly, families of politically exposed persons don't have to declare their wealth. Between the year that he got in 2013 and today, those have been very good years for the Kenyatta's wealth. There is this feeling that the Kenyatas, as well as other political elite, they have become fabulously wealthy at a time when Kenya is suffering from the worst levels of corruption that it has seen in years. How it's been described is that there's been one rule for the elite, especially the elite that's connected to power, and another for everybody else. So that's what the perception is. I think I'll leave it at that.
The Kenyatas are what are known as politically exposed persons, or PEPs. A politically exposed person is someone who holds a public function and as a result presents a higher risk of being involved in bribery or corruption.
Politically exposed persons, in theory, have access, potential access to public funds within particular countries, and our investigations have come up with lots of evidence.
Okay, that's the first video I wanted to share with you guys. Now, listen to me very carefully. To most people, this is not news. They know how influential the Kenyatta family is. Now, the reason why I started with the Kenyatta family is because you can see the connection between Johnson Kamau, or popularly known as Jomo Kenyatta, with British Governor McDonald's. Okay, and this guy helped him basically become rich. And as you've listened to the documentary where they say they highlighted, they mention a declassified document by CIA, which says that the money that was supposed to be used to redistribute the farms, the land that the British occupied during when Kenya was their colony, was actually used by Kenyatta. Kenyatta took it for personal use. You know, he went and grabbed land and did all the stuff, as the documentary highlighted. Okay. Now, in order to maintain power, especially if you're unpopular, and we know about Jomo Kenyatta's exchange with Pinto Gama, okay, where Pinto Gama knew about this and he was going to give out a dossier about this grab land. And they had an exchange where, Pinto Gama said some very not so complimentary statements towards Kenyatta, and not so long after that, he ended up dead. Okay. Of course, there's a hand, the CIA hand is in that. Pinto Gama, we all know, he had a much influence, even not only within Kenya, but even outside Kenya, because you remember he met Malcolm X, met Pinto Gama. He was a Kenyan Indian Kenyan. The Indians that were sent, were shipped from India to Kenya to help with the build the railroads in Kenya. He was son of one of those guys, and he became a politician who was influential and was actually, advising the opposition. He was standing up against Kenyatta's and all that stuff. You know the drill, but ended up getting gunned down, okay? But anyway, so the point I'm going to drive here is that the elite political class in Kenya, as you have heard there, whether you want to call them the politically exposed people, whatever the word you want to, however you want to describe them, in order to maintain power, they know that they're very unpopular with the people. The only way they can be elected or impose themselves on to the Kenyan people is by rigged election. But how do they do it? Yes, we know about this crazy machines where, yes, yes, I do remember that. Goodyear, yes. So in order for them to maintain power, they have to either have their own puppet, because remember, these are the chaperones. These are like the prefects who are acting on the behalf of the British. The British never left. They just gave us a face that looks like us to give us the illusion that we are free. We are no longer a colony, British colony, but in reality, they still hold much control, whether militarily or economically. But I'll get there. So here's what I want us to observe. How do these people maintain power? How do they keep on having this power? How do they have this power? Okay? Because they cannot be democratically elected. So the only way they can maintain power is to what do you call it? Subvert the democratic process of elections, okay? Whether by force, rigging, and all that. That's why you hear about this. There's a lot of controversy about surrounding the Smartmatic and all this stuff that was used in the last elections. But there's another element that we kind of miss, okay? Especially starting from Moi time, Kibaki time, and now probably Ruto's time. Well, Ruto kind of faced it. And this ties into what I want to talk about, Ogolla. The use of the military to help rig elections. You know, there's a gentleman called Martin Ngatia. He was he lived in one of those Scandinavian countries. He used to be in the military. He escaped Kenya during Moi's regime. I think he was kind of involved. He was suspected of being involved in the 1982 coup d'etat attempt, and he made his way to Scandinavia somewhere. I think it was Sweden. He passed away a few years ago. He had a channel called the Red Alliance, something like that. This guy knew much about the military, and he had a YouTube channel. In fact, I'll play some videos about him. And he mentioned something about the 2017 election. And he also mentioned something about Kibaki's regime. I'll start with Kibaki's regime. The first thing that Kibaki did when he got to power, Kibaki brought together his most trusted generals. Okay, this general. That's why Kenya in general, we know that we are very tribal. Okay, when Moi was in power, the top generals happened to be Kalenjins. Okay, when Kibaki came through, the top generals, he promoted generals who happened to be Kikuyus. And it is said that most of the generals, some of them, the top generals, not all of them, but the top ones, most of them who happened to be close to Kibaki, who happened to be Kikuyu, were very corrupt. Okay, they had different deals in whatever the case, and they actually helped him rig the election. So this is allegedly, but I will play you a clip by Martin Ngatia explaining how the Jubilee government, 1 and 2, 2017 and 2013, were helped. And he names a specific general that helped the Jubilee government come to power, right? Nani help Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta too, okay, come to power. Let me play that video real quick so you can get some dose of what I'm talking about. Here it is. This gentleman he spoke fearlessly. If you go to his YouTube channel, unfortunately he passed away. I don't know if he passed away because of old age or they just kind of got rid of him because he was very, very outspoken. Okay, but let me just play a video by this guy and let's get a kind of understanding of what he's talking about. Then I'll get to Ogolla. I will get to Ogolla. Okay, I promise I will get there. Here it is. Listen to this man carefully as we go on. Here it is, Martin Ngatia. Okay, right here.
Mr. Ngatia, welcome back to this interview. Now, election campaigns are now getting very hot, and there is a lot of fear that Jubilee is planning to rig the elections. The courts have just decided that the company allocated for printing ballot papers cannot print ballot papers. Now, what is your take on, this election that is facing Kenya?
The best thing, thank you very much. The best thing is to prepare the Kenyan people for the consequence that are going to take place when opposition wins the elections and the President Uhuru Kenyatta, these criminals, refuses to hand over power to the opposition party, because we have seen there is clear that Jubilee is in panic. First of all, the whole Jubilee fraternity is checking because they are thieves, they are criminals, they are fearing for their past sins, and the Uhuru does not believe being historically a one-term president in Kenya. So he is ready to shed blood to cause chaos and to kill Kenyan people. But this time, the oppressed people of Kenya are not going to accept a rigged election. We have seen Uhuru cannot win election in Kenya. The last time he was rigged by the military, misses, by Kikuyu generals. This time he is doing the same. Uhuru is ready to shed blood, to use military, all the equipment we have seen. Of late we have seen he is using gas that is prohibited by the Geneva Convention, using this general. Now, what we want to tell or to warn.
I want you to listen carefully. This man said Uhuru Kenyatta was rigged by the help of the generals. Remember, I keep on stressing this. Uhuru Kenyatta joined Kibaki after he left ODM. And he even called Kibaki his whatever, godfather, or whatever the case is, you know. Basically, you know, going back, joining his tribesmen. And at that time, Nani, what's his name? Kibaki, President Kibaki at the time, he knew he was going to lose the 2007 elections. Okay? And at that time, he reshuffled the military. People talk about the Tonje rule, whatever Tonje rule. Nobody follows that. Okay? Okay? So he promoted a couple of generals, Kikuyu generals. Martin Gatia has a video which explains all that. Okay? Because the intelligence community told President Kibaki at the time that there was a huge chance that he was going to lose the 2007 election. If you remember that, if you're alive that time, and you remember that, then, you know, the intelligence community, NIS, whatever the case is, told him, hey, listen, you are going to lose this election, and if you dare refuse to, there shall be chaos. There's probability of, there might be chaos if you refuse to hand over power. They told him that. So Kibaki knew this, and he promoted Kikuyu generals, top generals, okay? That's why you hear people say Kibaki, he started well, but went back and akaendeleza ukabila, tribalism, okay? So he did that. And Uhuru Kenyatta joined him, what we call Mount Kenya Mafia, joined him in that. And as Martin Gatia, Goody is telling Martin was eliminated, I tend to believe that too. I suspect he was. I don't know what killed him. They say he fell sick and Kakufa. He was very vocal talking about the Kenyattas and also exposing the real politics in Mount Kenya. This guy was fearless and he was all about the truth. He didn't care if he was Kikuyu or whatever. If somebody he didn't agree with something, he was very principled. He would call him out. He even called out Raila for joining Uhuru later on. But that's not what I want to talk about. I just want to focus on this, the whole generals being involved, something that I don't see a lot of people talk about. I don't see the media talk about this. I don't see a lot of bloggers talk about this. We are so very keen in talking about all this Jose Comego and this union was rigged, but we never mention the use of the military top brass to subvert the democratic process of universal suffrage voting. Okay, so here it is. He mentioned, I'll just rewind so you can get that part that he says. And he mentioned the actual general, the name of the general that was involved, that helped Uhuru rig the election. Listen to him very carefully. I'll play it one more time.
This time, the oppressed people of Kenya are not going to accept a rigged election. We have seen Uhuru cannot win election in Kenya. The last time he was rigged by the military, misses, by Kikuyu generals. This time he is doing the same. Uhuru is ready to chair.
So you see, as the video shows, General Michael Gichangi helped rig Uhuru to power in 2013, but has now retired. So this is who helped Uhuru rig the election. Okay? So what I'm trying to bring to your attention is this. There always has been the military being used to do what? To rig the election. Now, fast forward. I'll stop there. I don't want to play more, but you know, if you want to go watch Martin Gatia, go just YouTube his name, find his name on YouTube. You can see a bunch of videos where he talks about everything that was happening leading up to, when he died. But here's the thing. So here's the thing. What I'm trying to get your attention to is this. The use of military general to rig election is something that Kenyans never touch on. And it was notoriously used by Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, let's fast forward to 2022. Okay, let's fast forward to who? 2022. Okay, are you ready? Now, I know Ruto is not the most honest man. He always, when it comes to promises, but there's something that he actually said that caught to my attention. I'm putting two together. The first thing, General Ogolla was appointed in April 2020 something last year, 23rd, okay? And Ruto told us that, let me take this picture out so I can get it clear. And Ruto told us that he never followed the Tonje rules. Tonje rule, which basically says, they rotate. If the general, if the head of the military general is from the Navy, the next one to be appointed will come from the Rangers or whatever the case is, another whatever. Yes. So you got my drift, Goodyear. Yes, I'm coming there. Goodyear is saying makes sense. They tried using General Ogolla and he didn't comply, and it caused him his kaboom. I'm getting there. Come slowly, Goodyear. Come slowly. Stop. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so let's follow me. Goodyear. Yeah. So remember, in fact, let me let you. There's something that happened before we get to General Ogolla. Before General Ogolla was appointed by Ruto, Miguna tweeted something, and it's in one of my videos. I couldn't find it. I don't know which videos. I made so many videos. But Miguna said something. He tweeted on his Twitter page saying, it was during those Mandamano days. And Miguna says, Ruto, do not be, be cognizant of history when it comes to coup d'etats. Okay, the current military generals that are there, they kind of are from the former regime, the people who are appointed by Uhuru Kenyatta. So it will be prudent of you to pick up somebody who you kind of feel safe, who's not going to turn on you and have a coup d'etat, because that's when the whole thing was happening, the Maandamano, and Ruto was, naming Uhuru Kenyatta and the Kenyatta family as the people who are financing the Maandamano. Okay, so remember that. So Miguna tweeted, hey, Ruto, you need to check out whatever, switch up the military so nobody turns on you. And Ruto did so. In fact, 24 hours or 48 hours after that, that's when Ruto picked General Ogolla. I made a video on this, and I read Miguna's tweet on that. He picked General Ogolla 2 days after Miguna's tweets, okay? And Ruto made it clear that it wasn't really General Ogola's turn to be picked as a general. Okay? He didn't, it wasn't his turn. Iyo mambo ya Tonje rules, he did not. Of course, he has the latitude and autonomy to do so because he's the CISC, you know, he's the chief, whatever, the head of armed forces. So the president can always choose whoever he wants. He doesn't have to go by the Tonje rules. Uhuru didn't do it. Nani didn't do it. So he chose Ogolla. But let's listen to what this man is saying carefully. Yes, Ruto udanganya, but here it's very important you listen to what he's saying. All right, let's play. I know it's a clip that you guys have seen 1,000 times, but listen to it carefully. Are you going to listen to carefully? All right, 20. Let me play it one more time just for you guys to get a clear understanding of where Ruto was going with this. All right, let's go. And Ruto, okay, so 20. Here it is. Sorry.
General Ogolla. General Ogolla is among the people who went to Bomas to try and overturn my victory. Do you know that? But because when I looked at his CV, he was the best person to be general. I called him and I sat him down. I told him, my friend, you went to Bomas to try and overturn my victory. But because you are the best person to be general, I'm going to give you the job. That is how it works with me. That's why I told you, if a person has the qualification, if he's the best for the job, I will give him the job.
But that is the military. There is a code of conduct for the military and how politics works in Kenya, Mr.
Let me tell you, my friend, I had the opportunity. I could have appointed anybody. I had, I think, 10 choices. I didn't have to. You know, there are people who say, oh, you know, William Ruto appointed Ogolla because he was the deputy CDF. That's not the case. I made the decision consciously. And I made the decision against the advice of many people. Many people told me, you should not give this, you should not reward this kind of behavior. Okay. But, you know, I also must be sensitive. What exercised my mind? This gentleman has a good track record. And in fact, when I spoke to him, and it's not something that I should be talking about, but because you have asked a good question. What exercised my mind is this gentleman, yes, he may have made a mistake. Maybe because the commander-in-chief that time told him what to do. Maybe he, and when I talked to him, he told me, I have no defense. He told me, I have no defense. You do with me whatever you want. I cannot defend. It was wrong. What I did was wrong. Yeah. I am also conscious. My good friend Ayub, I'm also conscious that since independence, there is nobody from Nyanza who has ever been CDF. And it also played in my mind that I don't want a situation where a whole community think they cannot occupy a certain office. So many things that are part of my system overweighed the mistake he had done. Okay. You know, so I want to tell you that I make very sensitive appointments. I make very deliberate appointments. Many of the appointments, of course, that do not have to directly require my signature. Many of these managing directors, I don't know who, they are interviews, okay, all over the place. You know, so and when a panel decides, for example, I was brought a panel that interviewed the CEO of.
All right, let me stop it there. I think you get the gist of it. So Ruto explains to the reporter that you know, Ogolla pretty much said he was guilty of going to the Bomas place trying to overturn his victory. Now, I know there are some people, especially on the Azimio side, saying, oh, Ogolla wasn't there, stop making up stuff, whatever. People are trying to be. It's not debatable here. It's not. No. I mean, Ruto has to be really. I mean, I know hasn't made good of his promises, but exactly. You know, it's like Goodia is telling us here. Let's read it again. Keep your enemies closer. Ruto shooting himself on the foot. What does deliberate appointment means? Hold on for a second. Hold on. Now, here's what I'm saying. It is now apparent that military generals are used to sway an election to a certain, certain way in order to give victory to somebody, particular people, the people who are part of the system that has been financed and maintained and protected by the British, because the British are the biggest gainer in this, okay? The West, to be exact, okay? So Martin Gatia told us, gave us the name of the general that helped Uhuru Kenyatta to victory. Now, Ruto is telling us here that Ogolla, a general, was sent to go overturn his victory. Lakini, when he became president, alienda kamwapisha. Now, I can see how Goodia can look at it and say, keep your enemies closer, kind of thing, where he brought Ghanim closer. But listen to what Ruto said, and that's why I played that clip. He said, the choosing General Ogolla to be, the head of the army or whatever the case, military, he did that against so many people's advice who were advising him. Connect that with the person who allegedly sent Ogolla to that place. Remember, Raila Odinga didn't send Ogolla in that place. Maybe he knew about it, but he did not send that part. He didn't send it to Bomas. Uhuru was the head, the president. He sent Ogolla at Bomas. That's what he said. That's why you had, and Ruto was very careful when he mentioned it. He said maybe, to give him not to be legally liable on that. Right? So Uhuru sent Ogolla at Bomas to go, change things. Afanye ile kitu. Ogolla went there, but things didn't go his way, whatever the case is, okay? So it is Uhuru who sent Ogolla at Bomas. Now listen to carefully. Nani knew about this. You had a lot of them people talk about, we know Ogolla was there in civilian uniform. He didn't go there with his army outfit or whatever, because it could have been seen as a coup d'etat. So he went there in his Nenio. So here's where I'm going with this. Listen carefully. Uhuru Kenyatta has a history of using the military to sway victory in his favor. Okay? And he tried to do the same thing in 2022 by using General Ogolla. He did not succeed. Ruto ended up winning, becoming the president. Ruto brings Ogolla, and after Nani, after Miguna, told him, hey, listen, with all this mandamano happening, and that, according to the intelligence, remember Duale told us in Spice FM when he told us that he has evidence that the Kenyatta family are financing the mandamano. Basically, they were arguing that the Kenyatta family were trying to have a coup d'etat, take out Ruto. Ndio maana walikuwa namwekea hizi mambo yote, hizi mandamano. But finally, after Miguna warned Ruto chooses Ogolla. Ogolla akakubali akasema, you know what, I'm guilty as charged. I was sent by Uhuru to, you know, whatever. But Ruto chose him, skipped all these people. Remember, the top guys were Kikuyu generals. In fact, now that Ogolla is dead, the next guy is a Kikuyu guy. Okay, those are the people who are promoted by Kenyatta and Nani Kibaki. Okay, now Ogolla, the person who was loyal to the previous president, now gets the top seat of the current president. It's like he has switched sides. Okay, switch sides. Okay. Then you hear who Nani, after switching sides, Nani, what's his name? Raila Odinga, around that time is when maandamano was happening. Around that time is when Raila Odinga was meeting Ruto secretly in Mombasa with Obasanjo and Suluhu to form the next Imambo Yanadko and AU seat, the handshake, proverbial handshake that we know about now, around that time. Okay? So after that, Raila kanyamaza, stopped the maandamano, told Mainanjenga, stop hizo mambo ya maandamano. He got his money or whatever the case is, he was offered. Maandamano ikaisha. Ogolla is now the what? Is the general. Uhuru comes out a few months after that or a few weeks after that and tells us there are some people who walimsaliti, majudas, walimsaliti, right? And those 30 pieces of silver, they shall not get to enjoy it. Follow me. A few weeks after that, General Ogolla dies in a helicopter accident. Guess the people who don't show up in his funeral. Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta. The people who sent him, allegedly sent him to Bomas to change the victory of who? Of Ruto. They never showed up in Ninio. They never showed up. I don't even think Nani, what's his name? Kenyatta didn't even send Rambe Rambe, did he? No, he didn't. So basically, in my opinion, Ogolla crossed his former boss, Uhuru Kenyatta. Because Uhuru is the one who sent him to go to afanye ile kitu huko kwa Bomas. And matamshi yake was, somebody crossed me. It wasn't Ogolla's time to be Ninio if you are going to Tonje rules or whatever. And all the top generals who are in the military told Ruto, hey, listen, according to Tonje rules, give it to somebody else. It's not Ogolla. But Ruto went ahead and alieka Ogolla hapo. So maybe at Bomas there was a discussion that was held by Ruto. Because Ruto, like he said, Ruto had the right to Ninio. Kama angekuwa anataka kumninio, he could have court-martialed that Nani, Ogolla. Angemshika. Angemwambia, hey, listen, you messed up, you tried to subvert Ninio, you can be hanged to death. But Ruto probably sat with Ogolla and told him, hey, listen, I know who sent you, I know what you did, boss. You can, because Ruto, listen, it's either Ruto choose a Kalenjin military guy and he will be seen as, you know, Ukabila, or let the Tonje law takes its course and the top Kikuyu generals who he does not trust, who are loyal to Uhuru Kenyatta and the Mount Kenya mafia, take the military. And so if he has this top brass of Mount Kenya Kikuyu mafia generals taking over the military, and you have the Kenyattas who are, these guys are loyal to them, and you have the Kenyattas who are funding Mandamano, causing all this chaos. Guess what? That's an ingredient for a coup d'etat. So he puts Ogolla there. After they have a heart-to-heart, tells Ogolla, listen, I'll put you here. Umetoboa siri ukaniambia nani amekutuma nini, but I'll put you here. I want to trust you. Wewe kwa hapo hivyo, simamisha hapo. Against the advice of the majority of the people who are top brass of military, who are not happy about this appointment. And Uhuru feels betrayed because the person who is sent to mess up the elections ends up working for the person who he didn't want to win. Then he akaeka matamshi yake sema some people have wamenisaliti kisiasa. And long behold, this happens. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a theory. It's not set in stone. You can see it. Some people see it as Ruto being behind Ogolla's death. I would ask myself, what's there for him to gain? And the person who took Ogolla's place right now is just temporary. This is not to, I'm not here to defend Ruto, and I'm not here to, I'm just saying, have you thought about it? Given the historical aspect of choosing the military to subvert democracy, an angle that nobody seems to address. We are all caught up with this. Jose Comego, Savas, Junini. What is the role of these generals when it comes to subverting the democratic process of voting? Have you ever thought of that? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, ladies and comrades, that's something that I just wanted to, ufikirie kidogo. I won't talk about the floods today. I'll talk about that later. Mambo ya nani, mambo ya huyu anaitwa and all this nonsense. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. And the mess up that this president is making. We'll come to that. I just wanted to, because I am curious. I'm waiting. I want to see what's in the report that led to the helicopter crash that ended Ogolla's life. I want to read it. The military are the ones who are responsible for it, responsible to undertake the investigation. I want to read it. I'm curious. So while the majority of people might be looking at the president as the main suspect, you have to think twice. Look a little bit deeper. Listen to what happens historically. Who was mad at Ogolla? Because, let me just, we'll never know the truth. Maybe we might not. Maybe we will. Because you have to think about it critically. Who would be so mad at Ogolla to a point where they wanted out? If Ruto wanted to get rid of Ogolla, he had the reason to. Angem demote kitambo after finding out of that. Ile siku aliapishwa, he could have simply got rid of Ogolla and say, you know what? Ogolla, umejaribu kufanya hivi, I'm stripping you off of this military union and you have a dishonorable discharge from the military. But Ogolla seems to have crossed somebody else. And that somebody else, to me, is the person who sent him to do something at that Bomas. And Ogolla did not accomplish his mission at Bomas. So the person that they didn't want to become president became president and even went ahead and appointed him. So he gained. So guess who's mad? The very person who he sent up there. Okay, Goody is telling me the army investigating itself is a cover-up. The whole thing stinks. Yes, it is. It stinks. We have to have somebody, an outside body, an independent body, to investigate what happens. It's not hard. All they have to do is just get that helicopter or look at its history, the history of when was the last time that thing was serviced, where it was bought, all that stuff, and what possibly went wrong. I heard he was, last minute while he changed helicopters. Why did he change helicopters last minute? Who told him to do that? Let's exhume the body. Let's see. Did he, the pathologist, did they find any gas in his system? Some chemicals? What happened? We know about Saitoti and everybody else. So it's not hard to find the truth, but we need an independent body that can be trusted. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, this is Kenya Revolution. I just wanted to touch on that. I will stop here. I will talk about some other things later. I know there's a bunch of news that's happening with all the floods and all the corruption and all the, you know, the usual deal. I just wanted to make this so people can think a little bit outside the box. Thank you very much, Gudia. I'm out. It's been 53 minutes. I'll see you guys later. I'm Anamnagan. Subscribe, like if you're going to watch this on repeat. Subscribe, like, share, and if you have, it's free to subscribe. For Christ's sake, go ahead and do that, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.
All right, well, it's time to make your Friday a little sweeter. Please welcome NYC Times best-selling cookbook author and
All right, people. Poleni sana. Ai, hata nywele yangu imeharibika. My goodness. I look crazy as hell. But anyway, I'm back. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little whatever. So much has happened. We know the report is supposed to be out, but it's not out yet. So we are waiting to see. Anyway, that's the first part of this session today. I'll be back in a few hours for another session. I just have to take care of a couple of things. But anyway, I'd like to shout out some people in the chat. Chief Nuggers, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Clean Black Sneakers, thank you so much for your super chat. Hey, I got something. Thank you so much. Gypsy Corner, nice seeing you. Kiki as usual. Nice seeing you. Who else? Oh my goodness. WS Banker, thank you so much for joining us. Who else? Am I missing someone? Pauline, if I miss you, I can't read your name. Your name is in is it Arabic or Indian? The guy who said he doesn't the army get them Tiaji to tell us what's happening inside? I don't know your name. I can't speak whatever. Yeah. All right, Gypsy Corner, nice seeing you too. I'll see you guys later. Chief Niggas is very saying, let me read whatever very quickly. This is a very interesting take. I'm however wondering, would Ruto miss an opportunity to finger Uhuru if Ruto had even a morsel of evidence that Uhuru was involved? Yeah, but the thing is, you have to remember that, you know, he cannot make it. He cannot be overtly or come out and say, hey, listen, the previous government, Ruto and Uhuru was behind this, because that can cause a lot of you have to remember, these guys, they have to cover for each other because they all have dirt in this, and they understand calling out, if he says something that remotely suggests that Uhuru Kenyatta was directly involved in Ogolla's death. Remember, like I said, there are some generals who are still in the military who are kind of Uhuru's men. Politically, that can, you know, bring some what you call it. People might not be settled. Unrest can bring some unrest because, you know, the country already was in a volatile condition. So hiyo nikaa kuweka kufungua moto kwa gasoline. So he can't directly say that. Just like you see, remember when Kibaki came to power, he kind of glossed over the atrocities that Moi committed because he understood, you know, I mean, he was not bold enough to just go after the people who stole the money and all that stuff because he was avoiding the whole political backlash that can happen or something. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like, Nikai itafungua can of worms. And if you remember, these two individuals, especially Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto, and throw in Raila Odinga there, but I will say the main guys, remember, these are the two gentlemen who really spearheaded that 2007 mess that happened, that violence. So they both have money and they both have influence and they have willing and able busybodies to do their dirty job. So to Ruto, as I see it, he was more like, okay, I know who's behind this. Let me fortify my security. Niji protect, then try to subdue my opponent. Influence ya Uhuru Kenyatta. That's why he's using the Sabina Chege, Zichungwas, and Nyoro to politically try to, finish Uhuru's influence in Mount Kenya. And nationally, you can see that, he's buying everyone from Mount Kenya and all that stuff, okay? So that's how he's going about it. It's better off than, head-to-head calling Uhuru Kenyatta out, because that will, and so I will talk about that. I think I should have another live just highlighting the beef between the bromance, the bros who turned into enemies now between Ruto and Kenyatta. Was it a real thing or is it a fake thing? Are they just, we'll explore that between Uhuru and Ruto. Because remember, there's a clip that has been removed from the internet that I once saw. Uhuru was drunk and he was saying, kumi yangu, alafu kumi ya Ruto, alafu gacha. Then he kind of caught himself because he was giving it up. Then he stopped himself. I forgot whether I saw it once on the news clip, but I haven't. I've been trying to find it. So this is kind of, it's almost like it's planned. These people are planning stuff. And if you ask me, these people are, to me, they look like Freemasons, both of them, all of them. Raila, Uhuru, Ruto, they probably, Anyway, I won't get into that right now, but for now, we shall delve into that in the second part. Probably tomorrow or this evening, I'll try to go on live again and talk about this stuff. But it's very interesting. It's deep. All this stuff is deep. These people, to me, in my opinion, as I maintain, Ogolla crossed somebody and it cost him his life. I'm still waiting for that report. I want to read it. I will read it thoroughly. Even if it's 1,000 pages, I will sit down and read it. I want to find out what happened to Ogolla. People should not forget this great servant of Kenya, just like many others who we lost before. We should never forget. So we should delve into it. Thank you so much for everyone who has been part of this live. I would like to thank you again, everyone. And I'll probably see you guys later in a few hours. Or if I don't make it in a few hours later on, I will come in tomorrow, a little bit earlier tomorrow. So, hey, I'll see you guys in the next session. Peace and blessing. Remember to subscribe, share, like, comment. Subscribe. Like, share, comment. And make sure, even if you're going to watch this and repeat, share, like, and subscribe, okay? Peace and blessings.